Good evening and welcome to the Poets Cafe. It is where artists comes alive. The spoken word brings forth the inner creation of hidden treasures, expressing tones of lyrics felt within the soul, a vibration that brings stories untold. This platform represents artists of all backgrounds, be it writers, singers, spoken word, artistic expressions and paintings, literature, poetry, and a journey through life. Mystery seeks to bring new ideas and opportunities through the minds at all levels. Wherefore my time leaving tomorrow on the wings of yesterday, where birds fly higher than the mystery of dreams never knew. Why do mellow sounds ring silently without ever leaving memories of my lonely blues? We walk by the calls of nature, sing in harmony, pray for the love of the skies, and dance with the stars like a feminine ballerina, gazing across the stage in her soft-toed ballerina shoes. Welcome to the Artists of Poetry Cafe show, Poetically Speaking, hosted by Terry Benjamin and Ron C. McCrae. As delighted as we are, we can't wait to engulf a new wave of presenting this platform to our audience. So, sit back and enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Now, let's get started.
Let's get started. Again, welcome to our community out there, and I'm so glad to be with you on Poetically Speaking. And today we have a very special show. All the shows are special, but this one is even more special than that because we have a special guest. And today's agenda is passion-driven career planning, okay? Passion-driven career planning. That's what we're going to talk about today. And our quote of the day is, "It is one of the most beautiful compensations of this life that no man can sincerely try to help another without helping himself. Serve and thou shalt be served." And that's from Ralph Waldo Emerson, a worldly philosopher and writer. And I shared it with you because, again, we're here offering a service. Hopefully the things that we discuss today, the things that we share with you are things that you can use, that you can share with your family and friends. And by giving you this information, well, we're also going to benefit from that as well. But as always, we began with Ron's poetry. And Ron, what do you have for us tonight?
I have quite a few. I always have something.
Always.
And each and every time we come together, it's always something to inspire, and it's always lines up with our guests. And today, as we continue to move forward, our guest, a lovely sister. I say sis because, again, the title and position doesn't make the person. So, again, we talk about a cultural perspective,
That's right.
A community, and that's what this is all about.
That's right.
So let me read this. Even though I may have presented this, but nevertheless, everything and every time thing changes. Right. It's for each and every person to have a renewing of the mind to see things from a different perspective.
That's right.
So here, this one is called Aligned. Align with the universe, charting a journey beyond the limits of imagination, a realm within a cosmic expanse, where endless dreams are limitless. Winds blow in many directions. However, their appearance seems to contradict this, creating the illusion that they only turn in the opposite direction, neglecting their alignment with nature. We are designed to align with a higher power, God, who has set the course for our existence. With the most harmonious feelings of flavors, one cannot perceive any imperfections aside from another's way of thinking, whether external or internal, regarding the joy one fails to embrace daily in life. How does one ask themselves a question and step back to receive the answer they expect without making any changes? Have you talked to yourself and felt satisfied with the conversation without anyone questioning the motive behind your sanity? Does mainstream interaction and expected behavior provide the answer to your question? Alignment exists without chaos, distraction, or confusion, allowing the membranes to function similarly to parallel happiness. What causes a change in life, whether through how you perceive it or feeling wrong by someone? What steps have you taken to redirect your thoughts, emotions, and actions without the jitters and bounce back? Are you truly aligned with the universe? And how would you engage in the art of conversation to openly understand that life is perfect?
I love that thought. Again, alignment. And that's something that we really need to look at, because I think with a lot of people, their lives are not in alignment, and consequently they're all over the place, But I think alignment sort of keeps you on the straight and narrow, But I really appreciate it. And what inspired that particular poem?
I look at me. I look at life. I look at everyone around. I look at nature. And naturally, I'm inspired by the Word of God.
That's right.
Many call the higher power. But you look at the Creator, because he said in the book of Numbers, I am that I am. Actually, it might have been Deuteronomy, because he talked to Moses.
One of those books.
I am that I am.
Yes,
and so no matter what you call him, he is in control. And so the question is, what empowers you to be in line with something positive? What direction are you going in? Because again, if you're not in line with nature, with life, which means you should be lined up with your inner self to be inspired by the outward appearance, then the question remains, who are you, and are you aligned? So this is what aligns me in my writing, my thinking, my creativity, and this is the reason why and how I'm always into writing poetry.
Yeah, I love that, because I think one of the things that we have to realize is that every day should have its own special intention, And one of my favorite books that I've always read is called The Power of Attention by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And again, he says there, intention is a force in the universe, and everything and everyone is connected to this invisible force. And because we're all connected, if we're all in alignment, we can really help each other, because what happens is that, as just example, this particular program, we attract different people, and I don't say like-minded people anymore. I say we attract like-spirited people, And I think that goes back to what you were saying about alignment, about the power of intention, and later on we're going to talk about purpose, because I think all that is all part of what we're doing today on this particular program.
And you indicated as you were just talking that being, inspired, the inspiration in the person. And today in church, the pastor was talking about being inspired. You separate what the norm of society always get into, whether it's different religion, different that, and denomination. But are you inspired by a higher power, or are you inspired by something positive? What are you inspired by? Do you have the inspiration in you? And what is your inspiration? Right. And so, again, as you indicated, that's what's important. What is the inspiration? And that's what brings joy to all around. That's where all of us are blossom, because we learn to feel the energy of somebody else who's trying to inspire us. Because, again, all of us need refueling, no matter how you look at it. Sometimes we feel that slump, you run out of gas one night, and you want refueling. But a person who has that inspiration inspire somebody else, to lift somebody else up, and that's what's important.
That's true. And also in this book here by Dr. Wayne Dyer, The Power of Attention, he talks about to be inspired is to be in spirit, and so that's really important. Okay, so we continue, and we're going to bring on a very special person to us into this particular program.
I'd like to introduce to you this sister, this lovely young lady, this author. And let me read you her background, her bio. And then as we get into the conversation, you'll see how this introduction, our conversation, will line up with the message that she has to bring forth. That's going to continue to inspire each and every person, which is part of her passion.
That's right.
I am Jess Petion, a seasoned human resource professional with over a decade of successful experience in hiring and employee management. However, my journey extends beyond traditional HR practice into transformation and empowerment. I am an advocate of positive workplace transformation, not just an HR leader with a strong force on diversity, equity, and inclusion. After years of honoring my skills at the desk, I felt compelled to take a risk and pursue my passion on a deeper level by creating this masterpiece, A Remarkable, Markable You. This book is more than just a project. It demonstrates my unwavering commitment to facilitating positive cultural shift and community development from a human resource perspective. This project aims to create a space where stories can be shared, connections made, and invaluable insight and resource can be shared freely. My unwavering commitment to the rising frontier of people operation sets me apart. I recognize that only some have access to the skills and resources needed for a successful job. It is my goal to bridge this gap and serve as the light of hope for people who do not have access to these fundamental resources. Through my work, I am to help the next generation manage the complexity of career preparations and achievement. Join me on this inspirational adventure as I work to make a meaningful difference, one story, resource, and person at a time. Let us work together to create a positive ripple effect that spans our community. This book by our author, a lovely sister, as you can see. You see? A remarkable, markable you. And as I read into my piece, a line. So she's going to show you, she's going to connect you to all that I have read and all that her background demonstrates. You will find out. So if you get the jitters, but they will be happy jitters. I am so excited I listened to this sister. Wow. Thank you, brothers. So at this time, let's give a warm welcome to Jess Petion, our guest for this evening.
Hello.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Me. I'm great.
So glad to have you with us. And again, this is the cover of the book, so you can go to Amazon right now. As we're talking, you order the book, get the book. You'll enjoy the book. Again, there's so much that I want to talk to you about. So much we wanted to cover, but let's get right into the deep end of the pool right away. They call it DEI, but yes. They tell me that that's no longer relevant. They tell me that that's not what they want, and you know who I'm talking about.
Of course.
So is whatever it is irrelevant?
DEI. Such a loaded question because personally and professionally, yes and no. I think that it was created not for the right reasons, but is needed to be successful as the generations come within the workplace. DEI came about, of course, when George Floyd and all that happened during COVID, where everyone was a little scared, especially in the corporate world. Yes. So it became something that we incorporated in organizations, but I don't feel at all organizations did it for the right purpose. I think a lot of it was just say, I have it. And, and we have this diversity and we have this and we're filling in these gaps and these quotas because it's the trend is where we need to be as an organization. Right. Where some organizations took it as, this is something that is needed for us to be successful, to open doors for and opportunities for everyone. Everyone takes diversity as a color issue, but diversity is not that. So I went to class and became a DEI officer. And my intention, that's how I think. Diversity means just race, but it doesn't. It means having an organization with a group of different people and how to make them inclusive, how to make it equal, which is the equity word, and how do we all of us in the group with everyone's different backgrounds, ages, traditions, core values. How do we make one successful team to build our organization to be successful? And I think it got lost because it became so much about the word diversity instead of what the meaning and what the purpose was for it. So yes, is it relevant? Absolutely. Generations have changed. The work ethics have changed. COVID had shifted the workplace and all the thinking, the mannerism. We can do a lot of things from home. We're doing things digitally. The generations are changing the way a 9 to 5 looks. So is it needed? Of course, because diversity means different variables of people thinking, work ethics. It's not just, oh, let me place someone here, let me place someone here. I'm checked off a box and we're good. So I think a lot of corporations did that. We checked off a box. We have it here. We have DEI. We're good. But what are you doing with it?
That's right.
Are you really participating? Are you giving? Are you looking across the board and everyone that needs a raise is getting it? Not because, of the race or the color, but because they deserve it, because they worked. So those are the things that I feel it is relevant.
Yeah.
But the way they went about it, I don't think it was in the right intentions.
Well, that's beautiful because, I mean, in one level, they were doing it just the way a person looked, like they looked like they could be in that position, and that kind of thing. But again, I like your book because your book gives us a 360-degree look at the workplace, and looking at how if we bring everything together the right way, we can improve the workplace to the point where I'm reading the book and I'm saying, man, this is beautiful. It seems almost idealistic. But I think one of the things about your book is that you take the idealistic and you make it realistic by your examples and especially your case studies.
Yes.
And I guess my first question to you is, how long did it take for you to put this together?
Oh. So this book is such another loaded question. So this book,
I don't play around.
Yeah. So this book is a funny story. As we were talking earlier about my transition out of the corporate world,
Yes.
I think a lot of it started from emotions and anger, to be honest.
That's passion. That's passion.
I want to be honest with you because,
Please,
it was my journey to where I was sometimes great and sometimes traumatic. Okay. I mean, I am a Afro-Latina going through the journeys of becoming an HR. It's not going to say it was all roses and rainbows. So a lot of journaling, a lot of experiences, watching my kids grow up and knowing what they're going to have to face when they get there. And so I think the beginning of this was more so a way to heal myself.
Okay.
I think that's a great word, like heal myself, other things that I went through and what I wish I would have known prior and what I've learned and seen. And then, you can't write a book based on emotions. You have to write a book based on practicality,
That's
I
right.
think.
That's
So
right.
you have to speak to an audience, not about yourself, but more so like if everyone was the person that, sitting there like how you are, right? So it started off as I'm angry. Let me write my feelings down, and then it was like, wow, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this happened to me for a reason, and I have a purpose. So let me just take a pause, which I teach everyone. Everyone always asks, like, don't act on that. I always tell everyone, take a pause, sleep on it, and then think about it. So I took that very long pause, maybe about a month or so, and I came back to it, and I put all my notes that I've had throughout my career and all my experiences and my journeys, and this is how the book came. And it was fantastic. I was writing it, just kind of figured itself out all by itself.
But again, the thing I liked about it a lot, because, this whole thing could be very cut and dry, coming from a HR professional.
Yes.
And but it's conversational. I'm reading this book, and it's almost like, in publishing right now, and this is a phenomenon that a lot of people don't understand, is that back in the day, you did a book and then you did an audiobook. What's happening now in 2025 is that there are some books that are only audiobooks. Right. They've never been a book. They've never been an audiobook. And as I was reading this book, I felt like you were talking to me directly.
Yes.
I said, wow, this is something I can use. And you break it down. And I want to read the back of the book because I think it really shows your thought, your forethought, and really community. This is another reason why I want you to read this book. It says here, as you hold this book, prepared to embark on a journey of self-discovery and professional growth. Within the pages, you'll uncover the secrets to navigating the ever-changing landscape of your career with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Through practical lessons and expert insights, this book will equip you with the skills and knowledge to unlock your full potential, seize new opportunities, overcome obstacles, achieve ongoing success, embrace your professional transformation, and write the next remarkable chapter of your story. Get ready to soar to new heights and make a lasting impact in your field. And that's poetry.
Yeah.
That is poetry.
Yeah.
That's not cut and dry. That's not overly academic. That's speaking from one heart to another.
Yes.
And in community, that's why I want you to buy this book. Because again, this is a young woman who's speaking from her heart to touch your heart. And you can't go wrong with that. And that's why, we asked her to be with us this particular afternoon. And I love the way that you read her bio because, again, I get a sense of who she is from just your words,
I take pride in that. I'm a very tangible person, and I'm a very personal person.
Yes.
I love to fill pages. Anyone can speak, and I always get told like, "Oh my God, Jessica, you talk too much. You're too chatty."
No.
But I love that I'm chatty, and
Yeah.
in my profession, that's one of the things everyone always loved about me. That I was very personable. I would get up every morning, say hello to everyone.
Yes.
I never thought I was any different than anyone else, and I think that helps. And I've been in places. I think the best thing about me is like I've been in both places.
Yes.
I've been unemployed where I'm struggling looking for a job, and I've been somewhere where I had the resources to get somewhere. So I think to have that perspective on both ends helps you to be more personable. And that makes my book very personal because I am talking to you. I am having a conversation. If you were sitting here, I would tell you the same thing. I want to be like, well, the rules are, HR rules. It would be more so, well, what do you think about yourself and where you need to go? I had a discussion with someone and we had a great conversation. I said, you know what? She was torn where she want to go, what she wants to do. And I said to her, the one big thing I always learn is that you need to, it's in my book, you need to find your who to your where.
Yes.
Don't be in a place because you're so good at the job that you're just there, just doing the job. Be somewhere where, your values and your contributions is somewhere you shouldn't have to change to be successful. There are places that accept you. It's the first chapter, I'm assuming, yes. You can be in places where you're accepted for who you are so that you have that development, you can grow. There's a lot of companies, you just have to find one that says, yes, I love this person. I want to see her successful or him successful. And so because when you go somewhere and just because, you fit the job description, you're not contributing your maximum. You're just giving your bare minimum because you're not, as we're going to talk about, passionate about the place and the things that you're doing.
Yeah, passion is important.
And you're absolutely right on point because being in a corporate environment and being a professor in that environment, what you just shared just now is what so many employees struggle with because they don't see themselves as being valued because the environment don't value them.
Correct.
Everyone is an asset.
That's right.
At every level. And no matter how you look at it, it's what's important. How can I help you become a little better?
Correct.
I will extend my hand out to you. Now, if you reject it, well, I can't help you. And there's a scripture, in Proverbs, Philippians 2 and 3. Lift someone else up better than yourself. And I'll be honest, I'll be personal and tell you straight up, because when I was in AT&T Lucid, I caught hell trying to communicate with people who didn't see the value of what you was trying to do to make a difference to help them.
That's right.
You can't be the smartest one always in the room. And that's a problem. If you're the smartest person in the room, that's a problem. You have to be somewhere where you can grow and benefit from one another. Yes,
employees are there to help the corporation. The corporation is a business with an asset. Correct. But you can't give or sell something if you don't treat the employees correct.
That's right.
One of the oldest things is customer service.
That's right.
Yes.
How can I treat you? I might be mad at the world, but if I treat you right, then you'll come back and you'll serve and you'll buy the product. This is where a lot of businesses fail, but they take it out on the employee. Well, we got to downsize. We got to get rid of some people. And you create this vicious cycle all over again, and it doesn't work. But somebody such as yourself, a true asset within yourself, the valuableness of your heart, helps somebody else. And this conversation is what's important, what she's presenting to you, who she truly is by heart.
That's right.
So even though a lot of people have been scarred in the past, whatnot, she's here to help you grow new wings.
That's right.
So you can fly harmoniously.
Oh, no.
So even in her bio, she's talking about the next generation. Well, the next generation is the generation that's coming up to prepare you for the generation to be. And I'm in a generation looking to be. So I'm in that generation,
That's right.
the next generation. Yeah. So this is what's important with this author, this person, this sister. Not a person, this sister here who's genuine in her position and her heart to present to you the value of who you truly can and will be if you allow her to buy the book, read the book, understand her message. That's what's important.
And the thing, and I like your book so much because, again, you say on the back of the book that, this the ever-changing landscape of your career, your personal career, with clarity, confidence, and purpose. And I'm the type of person that whenever I go into a library or a bookstore and whatnot, books call me. I'm a book whisperer, and I always find the book that I definitely need to read. And as I was preparing for this particular program, I said, I want to give this a title that people can really relate to. And so I said today's agenda is passion-driven career planning. But again, it's no good having a lot of passion without purpose. And so I just want to introduce to you and to our community this book here, and it's entitled Purpose, How to Live and Lead with Impact. And this is by Miracle Olatunji. And she talks about purpose. And I love acronyms. I love acronyms.
Me too.
Acronym. If you give me an acronym, you got me.
Yeah.
And so I just want to briefly share her acronym. For purpose. Purpose is PURPOSE, and she says here, the P is for personal experiences. Reflect on your personal experiences to learn life lessons, uncover talents, and discover why what you are doing or what you want to do matters to you and the world. But just don't keep these insights to yourself. Share them with others. Unique gifts and talents. We all have natural innate gifts and talents. You can uncover them and use them to make a difference, no matter how big or small, in the lives of others, and achieve a personal and professional excellence. Part of our life's purpose is a continuous conversation between your heart and the heartaches of others and the world. Purpose is a bridge between your unique gifts and talents and the impact the world needs you to make. R is for relationships. The ability to build and maintain purposeful relationships is essential for accomplishing almost anything you set your mind to. Surround yourself with people who will inspire, challenge, and support you. Connecting with others helps us to recognize the community we want, lack, or enjoy. You can accomplish a lot yourself, but you can accomplish so much more with others. P is for passion. I'm saying this is the big P, passion. Create and develop your passions by actively taking notice of what you love to do so much that it never feels like work, and challenge you to become the best version of yourself. Actively seek out problems to solve, answers to questions, and opportunities that can help you realize where your passions lie. O is for opportunities. Put your passion into action. Be resourceful. Don't be afraid to allow your curiosity to lead you and to turn problems into opportunities. You might already have a sense of what your passions lie, but still keep your mind open to new opportunities and interests that could help you acquire new skills, drive value for others, and deliver strong business and organizational performance. S is for self-awareness. As a leader or aspiring leader, self-awareness is one of the most important skills to have. Acquire self-awareness, practice self-care, and build other soft and hard skills that are necessary to thrive in our technological, data-driven world. Foster a growth mindset and know that while we all have innate gifts and talents, nearly any skill can be learned, honed, and improved. And the last part, and the last E in purpose, is for entrepreneurial mindset. Develop an entrepreneurial mindset that's not about founding the next hot startup. You can apply an entrepreneurial mindset whether you lead a school, club, company, sports team, country, or NGO. An entrepreneurial mindset involves problem solving, seeking and creating opportunities and making a meaningful impact on the world. And so that is purpose according to this particular book. Purpose, How to Live and Lead with Impact by Miracle Olatunji. And I recommend this book because it's really helping us understand that every day is about intention and every day is about purpose. And if you put that into your life, you'll find a job that you really should have because you know what to look for. I find that when I move in intention, I attract the things that I need along the way. And I look at my brother in terms of, just knowing him for some years, and I see he's a man of attention and also a man of purpose. And I really appreciate that about you.
Sometimes I wonder if I got a purpose.
Well, you do. You do.
And that's true, even as you read, because again, too many want their purpose now. God says, I have a plan for you. I know the plans I have for you.
Yes.
They are not in your time and season because honestly, human nature is impatient.
That's right.
But it's in the patience that you have with God to trust Him, to know that He will unfold those dreams, desires, whatever they may be, the entrepreneurship.
Yes.
That's what's important. But to understand that is for you, for us to engage collectively with this sister to know that we work together to help one another. Right. A flower doesn't grow overnight. You have to plant it. You plant the seed, you cultivate it, and watch it grow. Right. And that's what we're here to do. And that's the purpose of what you just said, the whole purpose.
Yeah. And it's so funny because, we talk about the Bible often and we talk about, the lessons in the Bible. And one of the things is that, is you constantly renewing your mind. And that's why we're always reading. That's why we're always sharing what we read. And I like acronyms again because it really helps you to remember a certain thing, And in your book, you talk about so many things. And, this is the segment that we call Food for Thought. And this is where we let our guests just express themselves. And in my notes here, I have just Petion on passion, continuous growth, and championship leadership, which is all the things that you talk about in this book. But let's start with passion. What does passion mean to you in terms of your own personal experience and also in terms of your book? How do you see passion?
Success.
Oh, okay.
And success in many variables.
Okay.
Success in your career planning, in your journey. Success as yourself and your self-awareness and confidence. I think now with this generation, one of the things when I go to a school or I'm teaching a younger generation about career planning and your roadmap, I always ask them, everyone always asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? When back in our day, it was like, I want to be a teacher and a lawyer and this and that. And so now I ask the children, if you can wake up tomorrow and you can have your dream career, whatever it is, you could be your dream person. What would that look like to you? And how would you get there? Because you can say, it's a journey. It's with ups and downs and lefts and rights. And sometimes you come to a crossroad and you have to pick one another and you don't know where it's going to lead you. And that's very important. But to have that self-awareness and self-confidence and self-love. So one of the first things I always teach is self-worth.
Okay.
You have to understand yourself. And you have to have, like you said, in the purpose, right? You have to have the passion. You have to have your self-worth. You have to be self-aware and surround yourself in those communities. We talk about when Pastor talked about atmosphere and environment.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Where are you at? Is your environment causing these roadblocks for you? And how do you change that? So it's always a self journey. And I think that passion of knowing yourself and making yourself remarkable and making yourself marketable is that passion within. It creates success in all those areas. There's a say, I think Matthew McConaughey, he won an award, and he talked about how he's 3 things in his life that he thinks about all the time that he thinks for. That's reason for his success.
Okay.
And I thought it was a great thing, way he had his perspective. He said, 1, God.
Yeah.
He's like, wouldn't be here, with the faith and the love I have for God. 2 was his family, of course, his wife and his children that motivate him. But he said the 3rd one was himself.
Wow.
And that he's always chasing the better person, the better version of himself. He said, I'm never going to reach there. He said, I'm never going to get to that person.
Yeah.
But if I have that constant goal and I align myself with that constant focus of always trying to be that better person, then I'm always going to be successful. And I thought that was such an amazing
That's
thing
beautiful.
because it's the truth.
It
If
is
you
the truth.
continue to align yourself, like you said, and you have that purpose and that passion, and you're always growing and developing yourself and have that self-confidence, it's always a life-changing, and you can only go but up and be successful.
Well, that's true. And speaking of Mike McConaughey, he's talking about his book Greenlight.
Yes.
Which is again, another book that is very conversational. Because again, I was never a big fan of him, but after reading that book, I said, no, this man he has a lot more substance, and I think it really points to what you have in your book, that whole concept of continuous growth.
Correct.
Would you speak to that, please?
Of course. Like I said to you, you can't be always the smartest person in the room. if you're sitting here and you know all the answers, there's something really wrong.
That's right.
So if you're not surrounding yourself where you can develop as a person within your career journey, then all you're doing is standing still.
Yes.
Aspirations are just dreams until you pursue them to be visions, right? And goals. And you have to set those realistic goals for yourself and grow to those goals. You can't, if I want to be a doctor, I'm going to be a doctor in 2 years. That's not a realistic goal. But if I want to be a doctor, okay, I know that's going to take me about 7 to 8 years.
Yes,
How do I get there? How do I grow there? And who do I need to surround myself and what community I need to be in to be successful and reaching that goal, right? So continuing growth is being aware of your environment and also achieving a goal, realistic goals, and putting yourself in places where you can grow as a person. If you're not benefiting from a person and they're not benefiting from you and you're not being inspired, then you're just in a standstill. And you can always wish and dream, I'm going to wish and dream I'm going to be a doctor.
That's beautiful.
But you know what I mean? So that continued growth is, what do I need to do to be where I need to be? And what resources do I need to take? What initiatives do I need to take as a person? And what's the work that I have to put in to get there?
That's beautiful, because the Bible says that iron sharpens iron,
Of course.
and that's a beautiful thing. And then also, and I really enjoyed this part of the book really a lot here, and it's called Championship Leadership. What is that about?
So I'm raised with a lot of boys, and my dad's my best friend, and he's a clinical psychiatrist. But everything is football and sports, and you have to be strong and leader. And I was always the only girl, so it's like it was always, you gotta be this, you gotta be that, you gotta be strong and be a champion. So anyone can think they can be a leader, right? And I feel like leaders are not dictators; they're educators.
Oh, I love that.
And to achieve to be a champion and leader is understanding that you should not only be the only leader, that your team, I'm talking about in a professional manner.
Of course,
if you're the
of
leader
course,
and you have a team, your team should be an example of your leadership. And you should grow them to be as much as a leader as you. And that takes education, that takes humbleness and empathy. And also understanding that your success is based on growth of other people's successes. And being able to step back and to give it, because there's enough success for everyone. You don't have to, hoard it and think that, and dictate it. If you just, it allows you to grow as a person, which we always talk about. So being a champion is being not even just a leader, but abundantly successful and like MVP of what you're doing, and understanding that you can humble and you can mentor. A lot of leaders feel like, I'm here, I got here, you need to learn how to get there. Instead of saying, I got here, let me share with you so that you can get here. So when I'm on my way out, I know that it's in good hands. And I think that's very important.
That's beautiful. And I thought the HR just read resumes.
I know. Everyone says that. I'm always the bad guy. My kids be like, I thought all you do is fire and hire people. I'm like, there's so much other aspects to it, But I really take the human part of resources more so than the resources. When I took my SHRM test and I got my results back, all my higher results, I mean, I passed everything, of course, and all the technical part, the legal part, but all my higher scores was the personal side of HR. And I was like, yes, you know, because I know everyone feels like, you know, HR is this horrible thing. Oh my God, HR is involved. Oh my God, I got to go. And I always wanted to be a little bit different, a little bit more holistic. I wanted to be, I can't be your friend, but I can understand, you know, and I can empathize and I can try to do the best, you know, thing I can do based on my own morals and core values that I have. And I want to be in places where I can, you know, like show that, and not to be somewhere where I have to do something that I really don't believe in.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting what you just said. A couple of things right quick.
Yes, please.
But I want to start here. I do mediation. Okay, I'm a mediator. And it's interesting because, again, I said this at one of the dinners we had. Everyone's a mediator, but everyone does not know how to mediate. And there's a difference. It comes with what we were talking about. It's about listening, understanding what's not being said, and understand what's being said, because the parties may not, in their heads, they're saying one thing, but they're expressing something else. And by listening, you know how to depict and put it on the table so they can see it. And a lot of times they say, yes, I didn't see it that way. And that's how you settle situations. And in the same token, how you help employees or anyone come to a realization and say, wow, yes, I never thought about that, because I always thought it was something negative. A couple other things. Let me say this right quick. You know, we speak of the Bible all the time, and you hear me talk about the Quran and the Torah. But let me say this in short. Yes, those who follow the Bible and Jesus, one thing, but then those who follow the Quran, you have the Prophet Muhammad, okay? And then those who are in the Torah, you'll see that they follow Moses. But the bottom line, all those stories set the exact same tone for setting my people free, helping you cross over and get to, as Moses did, across the sea, or the Prophet Muhammad to restore the Kaaba, or Jesus, the Bible, you know, to only get to the Father is through him. So there's a bridge for each and every one to cross over. But don't stand there and wait somebody to come back to get you. Because none of them, you know,
It don't work that way.
they don't work that way. You know, if you're not there on the bandwagon to cross over, then guess what? That flood of water going to close up. and the army that's chasing the Prophet Muhammad is going to catch you because you didn't keep up. And that's Jesus closes the door because you're too busy out there in the streets dancing and having fun. It's too late. And here's the other thing, too, as both you and our guest is talking about, passion. And so here, and let me do this right quick. P for patient. You have to, because our guest says that. And as you were talking about, having patience. A is for assurance, knowing that things will work out in your behalf. S is for secure. Secure with yourself. Know that I am going to get there. And so being sustainable in your own surroundings. Knowing that the people that you're around, that's around you, that's going to embrace, that's what's important. And you come right back to what? Patience. You have to have patience to understand each and every person who's there trying to help you. Because again, you know, we're trying to help you, but you help us to help you. So collectively, we move as a body.
That's right.
Many parts, one body. And this last thing, tell your father I need some counseling.
Yes, my dad is great. Kudos to my father. Hope he's watching. I send him the link. Hi, Dad. And another P, pause.
Pause, yes.
Yes, because I feel I've learned that through my HR career. Everyone's always wants to react, and then, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't have said that, or maybe I should have, maybe I should have went this way, this direction. And I was doing an interview one day, and we asked a question to a future candidate, and we asked him, and he just. So we were all, what's going on?
Yes.
And he said, one of the best things you can do when you get a question where you want to react, but you want to make sure that it's like someone understands you, is just to take the moment to pause. And I thought that was such a great way to think about if he answers this question, what's the next move for him and what's going to happen to him. So I always teach that. Take the pause. People come in my office, oh my God, Jessica, why don't you go home and sleep on it? I said, because I'm pretty sure what you feel right now is not what you're going to feel tomorrow. So before I get involved, just sleep on it, come back in my office, let's have a meeting. And it always changes. So I think P for passion, pause, patience is, pause is a very great quality that people should possess. Another P.
But it's obvious that you thought beyond just what the job title entails.
Correct.
You know, I like here, this is a quote from you, and I want you to break it down for us. You say here, never stop being remarkable. Never stop learning and growing. Always be someone beyond your resume. What do you mean by that?
Well, everyone looks good on paper, right?
Yes.
Right? So, like, even with anything, you meet someone and you're like, wow, this person is great. And then as you get to know them, the layers come out, or, you know, and you're like, employee relationships, people.
Whatever,
and you're like,
yeah.
wow, that's not really what I saw on paper. So, it takes 5 seconds for an HR person to read someone's resume.
Wow.
5 seconds. It takes 15 seconds for them to feel like you're going to be fit in a position that we're hiring for. So literally, you have 5 to 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds in total to impress someone.
Yes, yeah.
So this means nothing. You know, and let's say that your paper was great. Now you're in the door. Now you have 15 seconds to show how am I marketable against the 10 other people that are waiting for this position? You know, what can I contribute? What are my passions? How can I make this company more successful? And that goes with all the things I talk about in the book: self-worth, self-confidence, your purpose, your values, you know, knowing where you need to be, what you can contribute, what you can offer, understanding leadership. You have to come into a job with leadership qualities. You can't expect to get them. You can learn from different areas, but you have to come with that mindset already that, you know, you are growing into a leader, that you're a leader of your own success and your own stories where you want to be. If you don't have that, you literally can see it right away. Any person that's an HR person that's been seasoned can know if someone is fluffing, can know if this person really might know a little bit but doesn't really know the job. So I feel like, you know, that's a really important attribute. Like, you have to, you know, be a leader, and you have to understand yourself to be successful.
Yeah. Now, how should they prepare themselves before they come to see you, before the interview? What should they be doing? How should they be preparing themselves for this interview with you?
Ask questions. Way before your interview. I think one of the best things you could doesn't hurt to ask questions. I've had people ask me, what do I need to wear? You know, who am I going to meet? Can you let me know, like, how's the interview style? Like, it's going to be more than one person. Am I going to have a line of people? And then what are those people's positions? Because you can prepare. You're entitled to prepare yourself. When I got my HR job, I came with my laptop. I had my iPad, and I had my questions out for the non-Mac lovers here and Apple lovers. I had my iPad, and I came to my interview with my iPad. And then one of the other best things you should have questions to ask. Don't just wait for them to ask you. Have questions, because it shows your interest, that you really want to be there. So that's a great preparation. And mock interviews. Call someone. Say, hey, I'm having this job, and I need some help. Can you just do some things with me? Because the jittering, the movement, we look at that. Even we look down to your fingernails. Are you polished? How you dress? How you walk? How your mannerism? You know, the way you look, and all those things take into factors. You can't go for a sales job and come here wrinkled and your hair is disheveled, because it's a people contact job, and you know, so like those things are important. Or I'll give you another example. You're a graphic designer and you come to an interview, but you don't have your laptop. Well, your laptop is your portfolio. That is your resume. So like those things, those little things matter. And to teach someone, like, these are the little things that you have to think of, because you don't think about that, but we think about that. And we look at those things because it shows that, oh, this person really wants to be part of here and wants us to be successful. And you have to do your research on a company and make sure that this is exactly what you want to do. I always say, just because you can do the job description doesn't mean that's where you need to be. Like, really make sure that you look at everything about the company, the people, their missions, their values, their growth. You know, if you see that the same type of people are in one thing, in one position, and everyone else that's in a higher position is another factor, and you can see it. You know, it's everything's social media. You can go and look. Maybe that's not the place that you need to be. Maybe that's not what you want. So definitely, just because you're qualified for a job doesn't mean you need to be at that job.
That's beautiful. And also, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You speak about corporate culture. What is that? Corporate
culture. It's the way a company is run with their core values and missions. So with the organization has a set of this is how I want my company and the ways of working to happen.
Okay.
And that forms a culture that's based on, and that forms a community. So all ties into one another. So if you have an organization where they have 5 top core values, it could be anything, show leadership qualities, we believe in this, passion, we believe in development growth, whatever it is, everyone organization has different, factors of how they feel that their company should be run.
Okay.
So that creates a culture, and those cultures are the people that have those type of values and make that community and that culture. So that's very important. I always say be culturally fit. So if when you're doing your research on the job and you go look and say, let me go look and see what their values are, what kind of people are there. And it's not hard to connect with people and say, like, how do you like working there? One of the questions I always ask when I'm in an interview, so I see you've been here for about 10 years. Why? Great question. Why are you here 10 years? What keeps you coming here every day? And people are taken back by that question, but it's the truth. Why are you here for 10 years? Is it because you're growing? Is it the money? Or do you like your job?
That's a good point.
And those are great questions to ask when you're in an interview, because you should look at the people that are there and how long they've been there, because that matters. That forms culture. If you're there for 10 years, it's because it aligns with where you culturally fit in a company.
I like that.
Yeah. I know it's a lot.
No. Actually, you're right on point. Let me ask this question. Somebody who's, excuse me, one of the biggest things company have, even right now, we are hiring.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. Science.
And I'm a firm believer that, at least in the newspaper, when you're looking down the list, it identifies we're hiring for. But a lot of companies says we are hiring. So somebody comes in because they're looking for a job. So they come in and say, look, they fill out the application and they have an interview. And only to find out, well, we're not hiring you, or we can't hire you, or either you're overqualified, or you don't have what it fits for this particular position. All of that to me is misleading because it's not clear.
That's right.
As you indicated, whether it's the employee or the candidate is asked a question, you're hiring, but hiring for what? What is this company about? And I think that's where a lot of scars come in, because somebody wants a job. It doesn't mean they can't learn the job. It doesn't mean they don't have some basic skills of any position. But if the sign says we are hiring because we're looking for scientists or a computer tech, then that's clear. It's the exact same thing as an employee on the inside who's looking for a promotion. Been there for 10 to 15 years and never been recognized for anything, yet to have somebody says, well, you're not fit to be a manager, but I've been here 20 years. Well, that becomes discouraging. So again, in HR, from HR perspective, with the mindset of those who are there, in my opinion, a lot of them are there to deceive. They want to pick and choose who. And so it really doesn't benefit the company as a whole in reference to growth. Because you're not helping employees or somebody, you're not helping the company. You're really doing a disservice to them. But give the false information to the uppers as well, we couldn't find candidates. But then the upper also has a responsibility to say, wait a minute, what do you mean you couldn't find? Nobody was available? See, now I always come back to the Bible. Nobody's available. Nobody wants a job. Nobody can do something. My thing is, if a person is willing to look for a job and they're looking to labor, I don't care if they get clean the housekeeper. Because many, when I started AT&T, and just very quick, when I started AT&T, I just got out of service. My brother-in-law was hiring for AT&T. I told him I was looking for a job. He made a phone call. The phone call says, put their resume in. I filled out the application and started at the bottom. Once I was on the inside, I met along the way brilliant scientists that many are still existing today, like Jim West down in Johns Hopkins, who started from an opportunity. It didn't mean that their pathway didn't lead into science or whatever, but the point was, Dick Dennis, he was an executive who was hiring people for a job. He didn't ask what kind of skill. You want a job. And so here he brought them in We're on that time. Right quick.
Time flies when you
Yeah.
when you
30
enjoy
seconds.
yourself.
The whole thing is really reaching back as you've been presenting in our conversation, helping somebody understand who they are, where they need to go, and having patience. And that's what's important,
Right.
because again, help one, teach one, reach one, to help somebody.
Yes.
Everybody's not on the same level. Everybody's not a PhD.
That's right.
But a PhD is only a PhD because somebody started at cleaning house.
Correct. And I like to answer some of your, reply to what you were saying. It goes both ways. You got to take accountability. Now, you were saying that the person that wants a promotion, I've been here for 20 years. But in those 20 years, what have you done to show that you want to
That's a good point.
What have you done to show that you want to grow and develop into this management role? Have you taken courses? Have you taken initiatives? In your performance reviews, have you come with questions and say, well, how do I get here? Because this is where I want to be. So accountability is a great word because people are quick to blame instead of taking accountability of what they need to do for themselves. And it goes vice versa. So you talk about, the hiring and you say we're hiring. Well, shame on the recruiter and the HR person that's not fully advertising the job correctly, right? Because that's part of their job. Right. And it's important to be descriptive because, legally you have to, and you should, because it wastes a lot of time. Recruiting is an all-day job. For you to not be specific in what you want and what you need, you're wasting time because as the days go by, the role is still not filled. So the more clear you are about what you're hiring for and what you're looking for, the better that you are when you're screening and vetting people. But with the transition, if you want to be promoted, it's all about you and what you're doing. And vice versa, your leaders. Are your leaders taking initiatives? One of the things that was important to me was have daily, monthly check-ins with the team leaders, and see how's your team going? What are your needs? What are your concerns? Are there things that are happening? It helps to know. So we talk about case studies. Knowledge is power. How can you help or assist or change or create a more successful environment, a corporation, if you're not in the know of what's going on? So if you just assume and you don't take the initiatives to find out, okay, this is my organization, these are the things I have, well, how does my team and my organization grow? But you have to be accountable to do that, as well as the employees have to be accountable for their self-growth. It goes both ways.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, you again, I recommend the book. I recommend you. I recommend your presentation. And you should really think about doing the audiobook. You did, because again, I mean, your voice is very arresting.
That before. Yes.
Well,
I've done some voiceovers for someone, and he's like, "Oh, right, do the script." Everyone's doing the script, and I heard it. I was like, "Wait a minute, that's like me all over the place."
But do that, because again, I think that would definitely get the book out. And as always, like I said, time flies when you're enjoying yourself. And as we get down to the last 5 minutes, is where we're at right now. I asked my brother to sort of sum things up and maybe give us some words to take on out. But Jess, thank you for coming in this afternoon. We really enjoyed you, and I guess you have to come. You have to come back because I got a lot of questions here.
Yes, we have to talk about the magazine and the podcast.
Please,
so much more to
on
talk
and on.
about. Yeah.
My
I'm
brother.
gonna do this, and I'll try to get through this in 2 minutes. But I want to say this: you have a soothing passion, so the audio will be perfect because that's what's important.
I appreciate that, guys.
And I like to read this. And try to do this very quick. Are you free? That's what this conversation was all about. Are you free? Are you truly free from the days of emancipation proclamation undone by the hands of the master? The master is not so much of the slavery, but what are you master to that's holding you back?
That's right.
Are you free to decide what to do on your journey beyond the plains from which you came to be free? Chains of ships whip pain beyond fear. Are you free? From heaven we came through the dark days of shame. The master sought to reclaim what was not his, stripping us against our will from the dusk to dawn. The pain we endure is nearly gone. Like wilting cotton, we slump in the shadows cast to the four winds, laboring onward, praying for the days to come. Home we journey in our minds, singing hymns, weltering in pain until the day brings us back. In the night we cry. Praise seeks to overcome a life of despair. Are you free? Now that's part because again we're running out of time. But the question: are you free? What's holding you back? This sister, our guest, presented to you an introduction. It's up to you to reach out, to buy the book, to read the book, to reach out to her through email, however you do it. Reach out, ask, and say, "I need help. My wings just been clipped. How can I get some new ones?"
That's right. And again, this has been Poetically Speaking with Terry Benjamin and Ronald C. McCrae and our guests this evening. And again, we encourage you. We encourage you to take this food for thought and use it in your personal life. I mean, all of us are in a situation where we need to maybe find a new job or maybe improve the one that we have. So again, we're here Thursday 6 to 7 and Sunday from 5 to 6. And so again, community, please comment and we'll catch up with you next time. So thank you very much and good evening.